Solar Weather Report for January 2021. The solar weather report for this week and the next is all about a quiet sun. The solar flux index, SFI, is 77 at this time. The planetary index, K sub P, is 3. Furthermore, the sunspot number, SN, is 26, and the A index is 11. Now, the previous sentence packs quite a few terms. Each one of these terms is of interest to the radio amateur community, so let's examine each and every one of them. The first thing to note is that a couple of these terms refer to the solar activity at the sun, and a couple of others refer to the Earth's geomagnetic field. Solar flux index, SFI, and visible sunspot number, SN, refer to conditions at the sun, while planetary index, K sub P, and A index refer to conditions at the Earth. Solar flux index, or SFI, is a solar flux, or more accurately, flux density, at a wavelength of 10.7 centimeters, 2,800 megahertz, and is very sensitive to conditions in the upper chromosphere and low in the corona of our sun. It is a useful gauge of solar activity. Additionally, there is good correlation between SFI and the sunspot number. Now, the choice of 10.7 centimeter wavelength lies in the history of radar development during World War II. SFIs range from a minimum of about 64 during solar minima to about 300 during solar maxima. A value of 77 for SFI is showing us that we're starting solar cycle 25 as expected. Sunspot number refers, as the name indicates, to the number of localized cool spots on the photosphere of the sun. The problem is that there are usually sets of sunspots of varying sizes, so the process of counting them is broken down into, first, counting the sunspot regions, and second, counting the individual spots in each region. Then the region, which is given 10 points, is added to the number of actual spots, 1 point per spot. For example, a region with 4 sunspots visible will have a sunspot number of 14, or 10 plus 4, since the single sunspot region gets a number of 10, and there are 4 single spots in that region, each with a count of 1. The total sunspot number is gotten by adding all the regional visible sunspot totals over the entire solar disk. At this point, we have SN equals to 26, since sunspots number 2797 and 2800 have formed. Note that we get an SN of 26 by adding 2 regions, 10 points each, plus 6 individual sunspots. The SN has changed in the last 3 weeks from 0 to 39 down to 26, which is still good for radio amateurs. On the Earth side, we measure the geomagnetic field with a planetary index K sub P and the A index. K sub P comes from the German planetarische Kennziffer and loosely translates to planetary index number. It is the more important index to look at since it's taken every 3 hours and measures the Earth's magnetic field averaged from various Earth stations. The K sub P index ranges from 1 to 9, and a K sub P of 3 or less means a quiet sun, green, 4 to 6, an active sun, yellow, and 7 to 9 points to a very strong geomagnetic storm, red. The A index takes the nonlinear K sub P index and averages it over 24 hours. K sub P or A means that our geomagnetic field has been perturbed, usually by a geomagnetic storm, and if the perturbation is strong, then HF is negatively impacted. So in a nutshell, our current K sub P of 3 means a quiet sun. The A index of 11 indicates that we just went through a higher K sub P value in the last couple of days. 73, and hope that you make good contacts.